Hello and welcome to Thoughts from a Tree. I have got my Thoughts from a Tree tea on. That is their new Friday tea. Today's Thoughts from a Tree. All this week we've been talking about seasonally living or living seasonally. So we're going to talk about it today, or I'll go through the thoughts that are coming from the tree today. So first off, before we get into this, let's just see this as that what we say here, we're not expecting or putting up the expectation that it's all going to be put into place and be perfect for the rest of your life. I'm not suggesting that. What I'm suggesting is you can view these points and see what points you can start to work on now, and what points are going to get you the best health benefits out of those points. Rather than doing all of them or worrying about doing all of them, you just pick the ones that you think are going to work best for you and you're going to get the best out of. And that goes for all the things that we say in the holistic lifestyle. Is that, yes, we talk about holism as this whole thing, getting everything to come together, but what we're saying is there's a key thing in the mindfulness part that don't expect yourself to be able to do all of them. Okay, over time you might be able to just build in all of the habits into your life, but you might never get all of them, or a lot of them might not work for you. So so you pick the ones that work the best, okay, and maybe the most important ones. So in this seasonal kind of thought, we're looking at three main aspects, but we're kind of bringing in all the five pillars that we work on here. So our three main aspects are the seasonal training, seasonal nutrition, and the seasonal mindfulness. Okay, within all of them, environment and light plays its part, because that goes part and parcel with seasonality. So if you want to put that in as an extra subject, then you can do, but I'm just going to include that is seasonality. And if you want to put in kind of sleep and recovery, then I'd say that also goes in there as well, but we can kind of lump that into the training mentality of it. But I once said to somebody that we live a bit weirdly wrong in this society, and if things could change on a whole basis, everyone was to do it, governments were to do it, we could all be a lot healthier if we kind of lived in a more seasonal way. So like in the winter, your working hours would be less, okay, because you don't want to be travelling out in the dark all the time, and you'd eat different foods, you'd have your lunch and breakfast at different times, you'd completely engage the seasonal, and everything would work a hell of a lot better, and productivity would be higher because you would work better because you're working in the most productive times. And that got laughed at, as you could expect. It's a hard thing to achieve. It's an ideology in there. So but what we're looking at is, if we start with, I think, mindfulness, so this was the last post I put up, is that not to expect too much out of yourself in all the seasons, because you're not designed to get the best out of it. Your energy is going to be lower in the winter because there's less sun around, okay. Naturally you would eat less sugars because there's less sun around, okay. You will be surviving mainly off fats and protein because, again, there's less sugar around because there's less sun around. And these things are all this part that don't expect yourself to be of abundance of energy in the winter. So it might be, if you did a whole round yearly plan, you would look at that and think, right, I'm not going to get the best out of that winter aspect. So that could be in any number of different parts of your life, whether it just be your normal lifestyle, your working life, your training life, your what you do in life. Don't expect yourself to get out walking mountains in the winter because it's cloudy, dark early. You can't get that far before it goes dark. It's dangerous because it's going dark, and the weather's changeable massively. So it's kind of these expectations of yourself to manage. On the other aspect of that, summer, it's lighter for longer. You're going to have far more energy. You feel good. That's probably why you like summer more. You can eat more sugars because you're out in the sunlight more. There's more sweet fruit around. Honey's in abundance. It's, you get the point that these things all tie in. And it's kind of the mindfulness part is knowing that and being aware of that. So even if you're not putting all these things into focus to get the best out of these seasons, then at least you're aware of why you're feeling slightly less. And I think that helps you not to get too worked up about it, not to get upset about it, and just take it that that's a normal part of life. It's a normal part of the human race. It's a normal part of animal races in general, that they are seasonal. You know, a lot of animals hibernate in winter because there's less energy around, so they need to store up and hibernate and get them things. So kind of just having that knowledge that those things are out there. I think that's the key starting point of this. It's just being aware, mindful, and almost embodying the seasons. Enjoy it. And I think the last point I said was, enjoy the beauty of each season. Really enjoy the fact that it's like, oh, it's winter, like, let's get wrapped up, let's have a fire, let's stay warm, let's stay cozy, and even let's get out into the cold and like feel what the cold gives us, and feel that the same way you get out in the sun in the summer, get out in the cold in the winter and just feel bits of that cold and kind of get that. All these things need building up to. Don't just go jumping out in the ice cold naked next winter. You got to build up into that. Then we'll look at nutrition next. So nutrition is for me, it's quite an obviously seasonal thing, but because of the advent of supermarkets and being able to like ship things around the world so easy, things aren't as seasonal as they were. There's a few ways you can get into it. Markets are good because they tend to be a lot more seasonal than supermarkets, but just checking like lists of seasonal foods and trying to stick to those. Now again, I don't expect you to eat completely seasonal, because it'd be too difficult. Okay, there's too much glaring marketing on other foods that it'd probably drive you insane to constantly restrict yourself from them. But by eating seasonally more often and kind of introducing it into your diet, you get more nutrients in your food. When a food is seasonal, there is more nutrients in it because it's when it's meant to be grown. So it's not artificially grown. It's grown in the soils that give that food its best quality. The same with meat. It'll have the best nutrients in when it's seasonal and when that meat's around more abundant. And generally, it's a lot of it's when game is autumn, winter mainly. So you get that kind of seasonality, and that is when it's at its best to go out and get and hunt and eat. In the summer, you're looking mainly fruit. There's lots more fruit and veg around, so your diet becomes a lot more sugar based, a lot more carb based, and you can allow that because you're out in the sun more. So they kind of work together, like you being out in the sun and you eating foods that are created by the higher amount of sun. These things work together. Your body absorbs and uses the nutrients at a better rate when you're eating seasonally as well. So by doing that, you're introducing these higher nutrient foods into your body, which just makes it better. Other than that, again, foods that aren't seasonal generally have artificial things added to them, so you're getting almost anti-nutrients in your food as well to make sure they can be grown, again, which isn't great for your diet. Also, like I said, it links into your mind health as well by eating the foods that are around as well, and it links into your training also, and to the environment and to the light. What was the other aspect in nutrition that I feel is the most important and most obvious one? So it creates a natural kind of limitation. So if you're eating more seasonal foods and trying to avoid foods that aren't in season, you are naturally limiting the amount of food you can eat, which naturally limits the amount of calories you can eat. So like a processed snack, like a chocolate bar, is never in season. Not saying you can't eat those, but you get my point. Like if you're not eating seasonal foods, you've got a higher chance of absorbing more calories. So if you're going around the supermarket and you're just limiting yourself to what is in season, then you have got a better chance of limiting foods that you shouldn't be eating at that point. And it adds a bit of creativity to your cooking, which to me makes it exciting. I love that eating seasonal, you kind of got that creativity in your food. Sorry, I'm just getting very uncomfortable in my tree. I'm going to have a quick shift around. There we go. Right, so I might lean in here. So you're getting that natural limitation, which adds to your ability to eat good food, and it adds that creativity of looking for decent recipes that are seasonal. And there's tons around, hundreds. If you just type in seasonal foods, and you'll get the list. I offer them out. It's just part of the parcel in the programs to kind of know what's in season and have some ideas of good recipes to kind of stick in there. Training. So seasonal training, I've talked about this before. You'll have seen my stuff if you follow my stuff, is that we've got this restoration, create and condition, explore and express. So these try and work in the seasons. For me, restoration is winter. Okay, it's the time when you can almost get down and just work at restoring your body's natural positions, natural abilities. Work at a slower rate. Come straight after the expression session in the summer and autumn. It comes straight after that so that you can recover from the amount of extra energy you put in there. It also comes into that mindfulness as well, because we're not expecting you to have loads of energy to express yourself. So we're looking at recovering in a nice flowing rate. So we're looking at kind of flowing, maybe being indoors a little bit more, just moving that a little bit slower, kind of, getting into the beauty of winter and autumn. Apologies. Then we talk into the create and condition. So this starts to bring us into spring. So we start to look at kind of building in some aspects of, simple things that, they aren't going to take much energy, but you're starting to get that little bit of buzz. You want to get moving because spring's coming in, spring's around the corner. You're looking at kind of that early spring, maybe late winter kind of phase for the create and condition. So you've come out of that floor and you're looking to just start to lift it a bit more, but you're still not getting out into the outdoors as much. Okay, so you're kind of introducing a little bit of outdoor running in there, but really simple movements that you can do with repetition and you don't really have to think too much about. Then we're going to explore. So now you want to get out and about. You want to do new stuff because your energy is getting higher because the sun's out more. You're feeling good about what you can do. You've got goals. You're like, oh yeah, over this summer I want to achieve this. So you start to explore some new movements. You may get out climbing or get out doing some fell walking or mountain running, or you might want to look into kind of things like pull-ups. You might think, I want to get some pull-ups down, some gymnastic skills down. You might want to do some Olympic lifting. You might want to throw some logs around, some rocks around. You're exploring your capabilities, so you're finding new things that you can do and kind of working on that. So it's all very skill based. Then expression comes into that summer period. Energy is through the roof. You want to get out, you want to do stuff, and it's all about, there's nothing wrong with this, showing off. You've put in that time of recovery through restore, create and condition, where you've put in some work to just get your body up to some nice conditioning. You've explored some new movements, you've got some new skills that you really want to push out there. And then expression, you can go after it. You can get out there, you can do stuff, you can run, you can jump. It might be that you're just out on an afternoon walk out in the country and like there's a tree stump there, I'm going to just run and jump over that tree stump. It's all this fact of, energy's high, express yourself, get out there and be part of it. And again, this comes round to that mindfulness within the seasons. So you can see how this is all connecting through. The final point, if you're looking at kind of, you're kind of seasonal and your sleep and things like that, and your light, it's lighter during summer. So you're up more. Okay, you get up earlier, you go to bed slightly later, you're in the light more often. You can still get a decent amount of sleep, but your uptime is more, your downtime is less. In the winter, downtime is more, uptime is less. If you get me? So the days are shorter. So feel like be kind of romanticized by that point of like, you get out when it's sunny or when it's light, but you're kind of coming to a bit slower in the morning. Take your time. You've got a longer period of darkness in the evening, so take your time in that. Maybe have a fire, you might sleep for longer. You've got these aspects there. So that's 15 minutes on seasonal. I think I could go on for probably about 2 or 3 hours on this, but let's keep it there. Keep it brief. If you want to know any more, just fire the questions in, get on one of the programs, or just ask me and we'll talk about it in another Thoughts from a Tree. We can carry this conversation on. I think seasonality is one of the big missing pictures in our health at the moment, and I think it needs to be out there, it needs to be told as a big part. You know, we've got our training, we've got our nutrition, but let's connect that to the seasons and how we are meant to live in the seasons. Hope you enjoyed this one on seasons. Spring is here, so get that excitement up. We're in that exploration phase, so start learning something new, get ready for expression in the summer. It's going to be beautiful. I'll see you next week.